Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Three Gun Show. I'm your host, Dave Hartman, and with me today is special guest, Jason Tielke. Jason, welcome to the show.
Howdy.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good here.
Good. It's great to have you on the show. So, Jason, we've got the opportunity to shoot together quite a bit over the let's see, couple states too, Texas, Missouri, uh, other places in between, and I'm excited to share your story with the audience here because I think you have a unique approach to training and something that people can really take a lot away from. So, thanks for being a part of the show here. Thanks for giving up some of your Sunday.
Yep. Thanks for having me, Dave.
Well, let's start with a little bit of background here so the audience can get to know you, Jason. What do you do when you're not on the range?
Well, mostly go to work, take care of my family, then shoot or get prepared to shoot. So yeah, I'm an engineer, of course, and I work in the offshore oil and gas industry. We build platforms, floating platforms that are worth about between $1 and $2 billion. Work on a pretty big project right now.
Dang.
Yeah, been real busy with that. Got a decent sized promotion last year, so I'm actually somewhat important. Mostly I go to meetings and get to travel a little bit. Been to Singapore and Brazil and Indonesia. Right now the project we're working on is in Australia, so hopefully I'll get to go to there. That sounds a lot nicer than most of the stuff I've been working on in West Africa before.
Yeah. Hey, that'd be kind of nice.
Yep.
So so you build stuff all over the world to extract oil from the ground. Is that the idea?
Yeah, subsea. So yeah, we most of the time we build it in Singapore or China, and then most of the stuff goes to either Brazil or West Africa. The fields are at.
Hmm. And do they? So I mean, these are like massive scale, right? Like I've seen
Yeah,
Armageddon. I know what an oil
yeah.
platform looks like,
Yeah, this is
right?
bigger. This is actually bigger than an oil platform. These are actually we take old super tankers and convert them. So not only do they have the production facilities of an oil platform, they have the storage facility. So places like Brazil and West Africa, where there's not an established pipeline network,
Yeah.
they store the oil. They take the oil undersea, separate out the sand and gas and water, and store the oil. Then a smaller tanker comes up and takes it over to wherever the refinery is. So
Huh. That's
you're talking
that's
about a
amazing.
ship that holds about between 2 million to 4 million barrels of oil, depending on the size. Most of them are about two that we do. So
Dang, that's huge. So
yeah.
do you guys like deploy these to different areas? Is this like a one-time use sort of
Generally, yeah.
contraption you do?
So yeah, it's usually one-time use. It's for the life of the entire field. So anywhere from 10 to 30 years. So
Oh wow,
that's
I didn't realize
sometimes,
it was that long.
yeah, sometimes if it's less in the 10 to 15 year range, we might still have a little bit of life and might redeploy it. But most of them are they get put out there till they're done.
Interesting. So you said you're an engineer. Do you think that like your engineering mindset, like the basically your personality that chose that profession and then finds interest in that, do you think that helps you in practical shooting?
For sure, I think having a mechanical mindset and an analytical mindset helps. A sport that has some machinery to it.
Yeah.
I kind of might have gravitated to that because of it, and being able to break it down and most things, mechanical things, I can work it out. How it functions, and I can generally, even though I don't know much about a gun, I can look through it and kind of get an idea of what it should be doing, what might be causing it to not do what it's supposed to be doing.
Yeah, figure out what's broken, what needs to be replaced kind of thing.
Yeah. Actually, I got a little bit of that to do to prepare for the next couple of matches. My trusty Vanelli's acting up on me for the first time ever.
Oh no.
Yep. Yep. 10 years in, and I'm just finally having problems with it.
That's not a bad run.
No.
Well, Jason, you have you've got a engineering mind. You've been shooting for a long time. When did practical shooting come into your lifestyle?
Practical shooting, I first became aware of it, I think it was in the 1990s. The old American shooter, it used to be called Shooting USA now, but it used to be called American Shooter.
Uh-huh.
I saw that. I lived out in the middle of nowhere, and I never got a chance to really do it. So my backyard, I lived in the country, and it was pretty heavily wooded, so I could shoot pretty much wherever I wanted. And I made me some targets out of plywood, and with my Browning buckmark, I pretended like I saw on the TV and did a little bit of that for years. But then I went to college and didn't really have any money. And then finally, once I graduated, I was looking for a hobby, something to do besides my college hobby. I couldn't go out drinking every night like then. So
Yeah,
I
that's
find
one
it.
you should let go of pretty soon, right?
Yeah, it wasn't working out so well with my career. So yeah, I started shooting. Tried to go to the public range here in Houston. It was not my cup of tea going to a public range, so I got back into the practicals. I looked at the practical shooting ranges and started going to those. Went to a few indoor matches and got hooked.
Yeah, so let's back up a little bit to that Browning Buckmark experience. Did you grow up shooting? Was shooting part of the culture before practical shooting came into it?
My dad was always a hunter. My grandpa was a farmer. We always lived in a small town. I grew up hunting with my dad. I believe I was 5 the first time I shot a gun. Went dove hunting with my dad and his Remington 1100 12 gauge, and he asked if I wanted to shoot it. Not an ideal first gun, but that's one of my earliest memories is trying to hold that up. And I shot at a metal barrel, and I remember seeing the pattern hit it and dent the side in and getting knocked back a ways, but didn't fall down. Kept the gun up. Got home, had a big bruise on my shoulder. My mom wasn't terribly pleased, but yeah, from there we went back down and to BB guns from there, and worked my way up back to the 12 gauge eventually.
Nice. So that first experience did that like hook you? Did you think like, oh, this is cool, or was it like scary
Actually,
and intimidating?
it wasn't scary and intimidating. What really hooked me when I was about 10, my uncle, who's a Marine Corps Vietnam veteran, he was collected in a lot of mil-serp guns, military surplus guns in the 80s. And he came out to our place there, and he brought his AKM and some SKSs and let me shoot those. And that's where I really went. I like shooting. I like
Yeah.
semi-automatics. I don't like my dad's Remington 700 bolt gun. His is most of bolt guns. His only semi-auto was a shotgun. So I really liked shooting the AKM. And my uncle gave me an SKS for Christmas when I was about 12.
Sweet.
Yeah. So from there, pistols. My first pistol was a Browning Buckmark. Then I got a Beretta 92. Then I bought an AR-15 when I was about 16. But the only thing with that, it was one of the band era ones with the nice thick barrel and no threaded muzzle and none of the cool stuff. And
Boo.
yeah, I still got it back there. Actually, I don't think it has a bolt in it because I used a bolt carrier one day when one of mine went down. So
Well,
yeah,
when you went to those first indoor matches, what was it about the matches that you liked that made you want to stick around and shoot more?
everybody there was real friendly. Shooting the matches was interesting. It was at an indoor range, so it was pretty limited, but uh, what we could do, but it was definitely more enjoyable than going to the public range and just shooting at a target one shot a second. And the guy next to me waving his gun around like this, pointing it my
Yeah.
way. It's much safer at the practical shooting matches. I've never felt unsafe at a practical shooting match. I've only been to a public range twice, and both times I felt very unsafe. Never felt like that at a shooting match, even though we're running around shooting rapid fire, all that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I've done a little bit of shooting at public ranges, and I decided the same thing is like, this is not for me. I feel like I'm gonna get shot here.
yeah, I had guns pointed at me. I was only there, only one other person there the first time I went. I shot a little bit all by myself. Then he came up. He had a little subcompact Glock. It was a Glock 26 or something. He was looking at it, pointing it at the ground, rack aside, boom, fired a round off right by his feet. I was like,
Oh,
oh,
nice.
yeah. So I didn't know much about Glocks at the time, so I couldn't help him. So I just packed up my stuff and got out of there.
This guy seems dangerous. I'm out of here.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, so you enjoyed the atmosphere. It's a lot more fun than just punching holes
Hmm.
in paper. Did
Sure.
uh did you get really into the game right away, or was it just like something to do after work?
Oh, I got into it right away. Before I dry fired before I even went to the first match, practicing my draws and trigger control and all that. I watched a few videos on YouTube, read the Brian Enos forums, were a huge source of information back then. They still are pretty good. But yeah, I was always wanted to be good. I didn't want to just go out there and kind of play around.
Hmm. Is that part of like your personality? Do you have like a what people would call a competitive streak?
I'm a little competitive. It depends. There's things I pick to be good at. I mean, if I pick to be good at something, I want to be, one of the best at it. I don't want to just kind of half-ass it, for sure. but I'm not competitive at every single thing.
Right. So it's basically something that that appeals to you. You decide it's your thing, then you want to become competitive at it.
Yeah, for sure.
Got it. Yeah, a lot of the guys that we shoot with, it's like you race to the gas pump with them, you know, and
Mhm.
playing cornhole after Generation 3 gun, they're super competitive. So the a lot of people they just can't turn it off.
Yeah, I could turn it off some, but yeah, it does kind of irritate me if I want to be good at something and I'm not.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so then when did those indoor matches turn into like going to USPSA or IDPA sectionals? Did you just jump straight into three gun? What was your progression like?
Oh, the indoor matches, they were USPSA matches. It was a group, about 10 to 15 guys that pretty much shot it once a week, kind of close to my
Mhm.
work. And they didn't really go out to all the other matches. You know, we have in Houston, we have probably an outdoor match every weekend, USPSA. We draw quite a few people. This group of indoor guys didn't really travel for whatever reason. And so I started shooting some of the, outdoor matches on weekends. And at the time, I didn't have any kids. So I could go out every weekend, shoot, enjoyed it. Met some of the guys out there, and some of the guys out there, obviously, they were a little better and traveled. And here in Houston, we had at the time we always had our yearly Space City, USPSA sectional match. That was a big thing. So that was my first one, and I think I got first C class at my first match. So
Nice.
yeah, those first few years, I think I won my class every single year. Sorry, I'm looking at my plaques up there. Is what I'm looking
Sure.
at.
Got your trophy wall.
Yeah, they're in chronological order for the most part, so I can get an idea of what I did win.
That's pretty cool. You can look back and see like, oh yeah, that's what I was
Yeah,
doing in 2009.
yeah. So 2006, yeah, that was the first year I started shooting. I graduated in 2005, started shooting in April of 2006, and in fall of 2006 got first C class.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So did you stick with USPSA? Did you move up past C class?
Yeah, yeah. I moved up pretty quick I think I blew right past B class and straight to A, and then made master class probably the next year. And I was, pretty consistent. I think I won my class every single match up till, mostly, I think I won all but one or two in master class even. But yeah, CBA, I won all of them. And actually, my first IDPA match, I started shooting IDPA because the range I practiced at had an IDPA match once a month. And I shot about four of them. And they're like, hey, come shoot the sectional. And so I decided to do that. And I got classified like 2 weeks before. And my classification didn't go so great. It was real windy and their barricade was knocking against my gun as I was trying to shoot. So anyway, at the end of the match, they were about to announce the winners. The match director comes out there and goes, who's Jason Tielke? And I'm like, me? And he's like, bring me your card right now. He takes my card, he scratches out my classification, double bumps me to master, and asked me why I was sandbagging. I was like, this is my first big IDPA match ever. So yeah, I ended up getting second overall behind the guy that's won multiple national championships.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So I didn't do IDPA for too long, but I was all right at it when I did it.
Now, from my understanding, so I haven't shot a lot of IDPA. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, I've shot no IDPA, but my understanding, like the culture is completely different. Like sandbagging, in USPSA, it's not a good thing. They'll talk about you behind your back and stuff, but
Yeah.
like this guy flat, rips you right in front of the audience, right?
Yeah, that was in front of pretty much everybody. Everybody's gathered for it, and that was the match director. So yeah, that was. I've only went to about 3 or 4 major IDPA matches, but yeah, that was the only thing I'd seen like that.
Yeah. Did that seem like okay? Well, this just isn't my crowd, or did you? I mean,
everybody,
why did you not progress in IDPA?
everybody there was pretty friendly. I liked the IDPA crowd. In fact, I shot the monthly IDPA matches for quite a while because it was close to my house, and I liked the people. They were nice, friendly. I think the main thing was just it was accuracy intensive, and once I started shooting 3-gun, I was a USPSA production shooter, so I was used to always shooting 2 alphas. When I got to
Mm-hmm.
3-gun, it's 2 anywhere. And when I was just kind of dabbling in 3-gun, that wasn't a big deal. But after a while, I realized every single one of my targets had 2 alphas in it, even when I was trying to go fast. So when I switched full on to 3-gun, my accuracy diminished in the other 2 sports, and I started getting frustrated with those. So I kind of dropped IDPA and USPSA so I could focus just on one, so I could get that right, not cadence, but the right lack of sight picture, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just kind of like point shooting and turning your head away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, shooting the pro series for years with those shoot and see targets. I got real good at the point shooting. A lot of those pro series, I didn't use my sights at all. I would just go up, bring it up at the target and just be complete target focus and look for the holes.
Huh. That's that's got to be something interesting to untrain when the pro series is over.
Yeah, I had, it took me a couple years to ramp up to really do the pro series. Well, you can see my progression in the rankings. I finished like 30 something the first year, and I moved up to 20 something. And then the last year they had real stages. I finished 8th. So yeah, I got better as each year went by. But now that when I went back to Outlaw 3-gun and we're shooting all these plate racks at 25 yards, I got to use my sights again.
Oh, probably feels weird to get the sights back on there.
Yeah.
Well, Jason, what do you think was the reason for your quick progression in USPSA? I mean, three gun is something we talk about all the time, but our
Mhm.
only real measure is like our peers, right? We don't have
Yeah.
like a ranking system. So USPSA is cool in that it has like an actual ladder you can climb. So
Mhm.
why did you climb so fast?
I think it was definitely my dry fire practice. Probably 6 days a week, I was dry firing. I had a little regimen. Even still, pretty much 6 days a week, I still dry fire. I take a little break in this winter, but I go up there every night, put my wife and kids to bed about 9:30. Uh, I go upstairs, got a room set up with targets everywhere, and spend about an hour and a half dry firing. I have usually break it up into 3 groups because if you do an hour and a half straight, you're gonna start getting mentally faded. And at that point, when your grip's getting weak and you're getting shaky and your eyes aren't snapping to targets right, uh, there's really no reason to keep going. So I do like a 10 to 15 minute warm up, take a 15-minute break, 15 or so minutes for my first round of uh, uh, drills, then take a little break, then another 15, 20 minutes for my second round of drills. Then I'm done. The whole thing takes, a little hour to an hour and a half. But, keep up with that. Just simple drills, nothing too complicated. Just figure out what you need to work on and just keep yourself fresh. I mean, if I stop dry firing for a week or two, when I pick up the gun, I can tell very quickly how much my skills, it just doesn't feel comfortable anymore. The sights don't snap up the way they're supposed to.
Hmm.
So, I mean, it's just constant practice.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot of dedication because you've been shooting for a long time now, over a decade, and to maintain the dedication to dry fire that entire time is something not a lot of people are able to do. What
Yeah.
what is it that keeps you sticking with it the whole time?
The thing that motivates me most is when I don't do it and I go to a match and I do bad. I feel just awful. Like that just sticks with me. I'm sitting there, whole drive home. I'm thinking why I sucked, what I can do to not suck, why I don't ever want to, finish that low again or blow a stage like I did again on something that was easily fixable.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, I'm probably too hard on myself, and that makes it a little less fun. But definitely losing motivates me a lot more than winning. I mean, when I go to a match and finish better than I thought I would, I come home, I take off a few days from practice, and I'm happy. But when I'm lose, next night, sometimes night, I get home from a match, I pull out my guns and dry fire if it's not too late.
No kidding.
Yep.
So what does the family think about that? Do they encourage you in your I don't know, your practice regimen, or is it something like, come on, Jason,
They
yeah,
are completely
chill.
unaware of his existence. It is after they go to the bed.
Really?
Yeah, so 9:30 at night, they're in bed. Usually 9:30 or 10 is when I start practicing every night. So they're usually asleep and don't even know I practice like that.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah, like a couple times, my 5-year-old's woken up and see me walking upstairs with all my guns and my gun belt on and asked me what I was doing. And, now every night when she goes to bed, Daddy, you going to get your guns out and practice tonight? I'm like, yeah, probably. She's like, okay. But yeah, like I said, they're blissfully unaware. And, the live fire practice, I try to do it just once a week. I have every other Friday off. So Friday mornings, I'll go practice when they're at work and school. So, generally, it's only every other week that I take off, and I'm only gone generally about an hour and a half. It's about a 15-minute drive to the range. I set my targets up. I use self-resetting targets, so I don't have to tape or reset. I go there. I shoot for 45 minutes to an hour. I get about probably 200 rounds of pistol, about 50 rounds of shotgun, and 50 rounds of rifle, and maybe some 22 in an hour. And I get back home, hour and a half,
Hmm.
door to door, and so they don't miss me too much.
Nice. So sounds like efficiency is something that's important for you in your practice and your training.
Yes, yeah, very efficient. Build my, I whatever time I have around my family time, work, family time is built out first, and then I build my training schedule around that.
Hmm. Now, do you as far as like your dry fire practice, do you have like a set um like I don't know, like a string of drills that you run through, or is it based on like a previous match? How do you manage that in the brief amount of time that you do have every day?
Yeah, I have a set of base drills I do, and then I also modify it based on something, if I've identified something that's deficient, any skills that are deficient, or anything I see at the upcoming match on stage descriptions. Like if I see a bunch of table starts for a pistol, or weird starting positions, or if there's going to be a lot of offhand rifle, I'll build that in my dry fire the next few weeks. So generally I start with my warm up, and the warm up just rack the slide of my pistol, point at my target, squeeze the trigger, watch the sights align, make sure the sights stay aligned, click, do it again, do it again, do it again. Then I do draws from low ready, draws from surrender. And I do the same thing with the shotgun to practice for slugs from low ready, then for port arms, rifle, same thing. I do that for a while, and that's generally my warm up. My warm up's always, clicking the trigger, make sure clicking the trigger every time, make sure the sights stay lined up. Then my rounds of drills generally are more speed oriented and gun handling oriented. Whenever I'm doing multiple shots with the pistol or with the rifle, the trigger's not reset every time. So I have targets set up, and I'll do starts from different positions, practice shooting on the move, transitioning from gun to gun. I've got a trash can actually that's lined with carpet and got some weights in the bottom for me practicing dumps.
Nice.
Uh, I've got some tables set up to do table starts and all that, and I've got different arrays of targets all over my room upstairs. I guess it's nice. I got about a 25 foot by 25 foot room with that much furniture in it, so I can run around and yeah. And then I'll do some long range positional stuff, which I badly need to practice. Kneeling first, kneeling, offhand, prone, get down. Only problem with that is getting my scope to focus in at 25 yards or 25 feet is pretty blurry on 6 power. So yeah.
Yeah,
But,
that's a tough one. Brian Payne showed me a device that he had. It's basically like a lens you put on your scope that
okay.
makes targets appear the proper dimensions.
Okay.
I'll look it up and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, that'd be nice
And
because yeah, I'm just trying to find a blurry corner of a point on my target and trying to focus on it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I've done that a little bit too. And what I would do in the when I had the travel trailer and I was traveling around full time is I would put like small dots under like the table, and I would just get as far away as I could. And I would still only use it on like 1x,
Yeah.
so it appears to be far away. But I don't think that gives you quite the benefit that it would, you know, running through the variability of the scope.
Yeah. Most all of my offhand rifle practices are at 2.5x because that's the most I can zoom in before it starts getting blurry. So
Yeah, interesting, interesting. So then, so you mentioned speed drills and weapons manipulation. So
mhm.
we're talking like mag changes. We're talking, going from gun to gun. You mentioned you got a dump barrel. I got one back here myself.
Yep.
The when you have the basics down of like gun manipulation, are you doing like movement drills as well?
Yeah, I do some movement shooting on the move. I move from position to position. Uh, get your feet set and get the gun up. I should say, get the gun up as you're getting your feet set. That's a big thing. A lot of people run a position, stop, get their gun up. You need to run a position, have your gun up, and as you stop, have the sights up, and they should be about lined up. Pause. Just that quick split second, then be shooting. So yeah, pretty much all my drills involve some type of movement. Most of them are moving to position and shooting. Some of them shooting on the move. So yeah, first one I got one dump bucket, so I usually I'll do rifle, shotgun, rifle, moving backwards, shooting, come to a spot, hit it, shoot, drop it, shotgun up, off the table, shoot, load it, shotgun on the move. Then do that a few times, and I reverse directions. So I'll do it left to right, then right to left, forward to back, back to front. So you practice all directions of movement. Uh, transitioning from the rifle to the shotgun, transitioning from the shotgun to the rifle, then pistol, shotgun to pistol, rifle to pistol, all that. Just every variation you can think of. I said starting positions, try to do different starting positions. Just think of everything you've ever done in a match and practice it.
Gotcha. Well, so is this dry fire like self-taught, or did you have like a mentor along the way that taught you the importance of dry fire or how to train or anything like that?
Really, it was mostly self-taught. I mean, back then there were a few videos on YouTube, and I think Steve Anderson's dry fire book came out back then, and I looked at it. I mean, there's some drills in there, but it was all pretty basic. I mean,
It's like so Anderson's book is like a classifier drills.
yeah, that's basically all it was, you know. So I just stick targets on the wall, different shapes of targets, different sizes, depending on what I want to practice, something faster or something more accuracy intensive, and go for it. Yeah, yeah. There wasn't Ben Steger's book went out back then. I think there's a couple other dry fire books out now, but I haven't looked at them. They're just kind of all, you know, self-taught, I guess.
Yeah, you pretty much have your regimen now, so you don't really want to add anything new.
Yeah, I constantly tweak it depending on what I see is, like I said, deficient or any skills I need to work on. But I had to tweak it some back when I did USPSA all the time, just practicing lots of draws. I ended up with problems in my wrists and shoulder and elbow, so I had to cut back. And I actually had to cut back on the amount of dry fire I did. But shooting 3-gun's kind of nice now that I'm not doing the same motion over and over and over again.
Yeah.
It's only a third of my practice now.
Yeah, and our yeah, that's a good point. And our draws can be so much slower because they're masked by so many other things in the game, like
Yep.
movement, gun transitions, stuff like that.
Yep, for sure. You usually have a little bit of time between you draw your pistol to you're shooting. You know, you don't start, draw, and shoot targets right then. You can usually take a few steps and get settled.
Yeah.
The sub-second draw isn't necessary in 3-gun, no. I focus far more on getting a proper grip, making sure it's lined up right. So when I come up, my sights are lined up right, because, you know, if you get an improper grip, you know, grip's just a little bit off, I feel it the entire rest of the time, and it makes a big difference for me, at least.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think a lot of people can relate to that because, you know, I don't know anyone who hasn't come off a stage and said, "Oh yeah, my grip was trash on that" or whatever. And it's kind of funny because like even myself, like even though I know this like cognitively, it's hard to get myself to fix that grip in the middle of a stage. So grabbing it holster the first time is huge.
I was like, oh, my sights are canned to the left. I just aim a little bit to this side of the target, and I'll hit it.
Yeah, throwing some siders out there.
Yep. No, it's definitely better to spend that extra. Even for me, it's like maybe a quarter of a second just to get that extra little press up in there as I draw instead of just scooping it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes my mind gets going and I just yank it out, and it's not right.
Well, let's talk about like match specific training. So like give us an idea of like what matches you have coming up and how you're going to cater your dry fire to excel in that match.
Oh man, I've been busy with summer vacation, so I actually haven't even looked yet to see. Next couple of matches are that Wyoming Governor's match, which hopefully maybe you probably know more about than I do.
Yeah, so I'll be there. They've got a entirely new match designers, or excuse me, stage designers and match staff this year. So
Yeah.
it's kind of anybody's guess.
Okay. I'm hoping not too much long range shooting. I'm having to rebarrel my rifle here, throw a new upper on it because my old one was shot out. I noticed last part of last year and early part of this year, towards the end of every long range stage, I started missing a lot, and I knew it wasn't me. I took it out and I grouped it. I shot a 1.5-inch group at 200 yards, moved up to 150, shot about 40 rounds, semi-rapid fire, moved up to 100, shot a 5.5-inch group at 100 yards.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So when I was shooting at, 500 yards back at the Texas 3-gun championship and I wasn't hitting anything, I figured out why.
Interesting. So how long have you had that barrel? How long did it take to shoot it out?
That one's about 2 years old. I'm not sure exactly how many rounds are through it, but it's definitely, I think, at the end of its life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So the Wyoming Governor's match is supposed to have 2 long range stages with, shots over 200 yards.
Okay. Good to know. I haven't, I've been in vacation mode the last month and a half. I practiced a lot early on this year, thinking this year was going to be my year, and actually I did worse than ever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think you were with me when I got DQ'd for the first time in a major match.
I was. Yeah, that was the Vortex Shooter Source 3-gun, unfortunately.
Yep. And
Yeah. And so for everybody listening, I got to embarrass you a little bit. You did
mhm.
stay the entire day, help us reset targets, and even spotted for absolutely everyone on our long range stage. So we definitely appreciate you.
Oh, you're welcome. I wanted to be there. I was having fun with y'all. We had a good squad there, you and Joe Farewell and all them. Fun. I wish I could have stayed, man. And actually, I might have stayed, but my wife was already upset because Saturday she had some stuff to do. She had to have one group of kids over here, one kid in one town and another kid in another town. She had two different things with the kids, so I had to come back and help her out some.
Hey, well, it worked out. So
Yep.
a DQ is difficult, especially someone at your level when you're talking about being decades into the or decade or more into this, and now you're shooting your first major match DQ. So what's the self talk and the I guess the repair? What is the action going forward for that?
I have broken that down so many times. I spent the entire 4 hour ride home thinking about it and days thinking about exactly what happened. First off, before I say anything, it was definitely my fault. I take
Uh-huh.
full responsibility. I'm just trying to break it down. Starting out, what happened is we were shooting a shotgun stage. I mean, it was a 3 gun stage, but it was all shotgun at first. And we were going down a hill. I shot a target. It turned 90 degrees edge on to me. I went down a little further and I shot back at it, past the 180. What exactly happened? The long form. First off, I was knew it was about my turn to shoot, but I didn't realize I was on deck. First of all, I get up there, I get called. I wasn't paying attention. I hadn't gone through the stage plan in my head. I wasn't mentally prepared for it, so I started off in the hole. I'm generally when I'm literally when I'm in the hole getting ready to shoot, I'm walking through. I walk the stage one more time. I'm sitting there. I'm running the stage through my head over and over and over. Every single movement I'm going to do, where the target's going to be, where I'm going to stop, all that. So I didn't get that done. All I had to do was run over there, get my guns, come up to the starting line, and frantically try to remember where everything was. So now I'm going down. I'm shooting. I'm going down. I shoot a target on the right. It turns 90 degrees. I'm like, crap. I start thinking on this while I'm shooting. What are the rules on this? Does 90 degree? Does a blade count? Does it have to fall? All this. I go down. I start going down hills. Like, okay, I'm going past the target now. I'm just going to leave it. I shoot 3 targets to the left. I had some heavy rounds in there for these 3 targets to the left, a little further out. That's why I didn't try to make that target up right away. And one of those heavier shotgun shells called my shotgun a jam. So then I have a shotgun jam. So now my brain's way out of this stage. I clear the shotgun jam. I shoot everything. I do one last quick scan as I'm about to dump. See that target over there? And I take it. And the RO goes muzzle. I dump I look at him for a second. I was like, "You gonna say?" Just a half second, thinking, "Is he gonna say stop?" He doesn't say stop. So I dump the shotgun, and then he starts saying stop.
Oh yeah.
So we had a few things going in there. I wasn't mentally prepared going in. The gun jam fried my brain. Lots of other matches. I'm not saying this is right. Lots of other matches, jungle going through the woods with a shotgun. They don't really care about 180s. But that RO specifically said, I think somebody even asked him if we could shoot that target past there, and he said no. So it was very clear we could not shoot that target past there. It was all
Yeah,
on me.
I remember that discussion during our walkthrough as well.
Yeah, but some of the other matches with the more relaxed 180s on the shotguns, kind of might, led me to believe that.
Yeah. Well, so we shot Gen 3 together too, right? This last
Yeah.
September. So that's a good example of the match where 180 is pretty fluid on
Mm-hmm.
the jungle run stages. On I've seen I guess in the stage briefs and from Chad specifically, like it's pretty open on this stage here. So
Yeah.
yeah, so a lot of times you do get caught into that, and so it's a good example of like knowing the match you're at.
Yep. I'm fine with either way. I think both are acceptable. You just got to remember which one you're at.
Yeah, 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 totally. Like I really enjoy and appreciate the ones that allow you to have more range of motion, and more freedom in that way. But yeah, knowing which one you're at, and especially which stage you're on,
Yeah.
that's definitely a very important part.
Yep. Yeah. The problem with the ones that have no 180, generally those are the ones that have all the targets hidden behind trees that you got to look back for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, those are tough. I've found a lot of those as well.
Yep.
Well, so now that you've evaluated what happened, what can you do going forward to mitigate that the
Yeah.
chances of reoccurrence?
Yeah, that was all mental. Just making sure my mind's right. Being into the stage, not messing around with other stuff. Like I said, I was having fun at that match.
Hmm.
So yeah, when you're know when you're going up and when you're in the hole, said walk the stage one last time, because when you're on deck, you should be getting your equipment ready. You're ready when it's your turn. You're not halfway down the stage and the RO's asking for you where you're at with your rifle and shotgun. So when you're in the hole, walk through it mentally. Go through the stage over. I go through the stage over and over. Walkthroughs in my head. Just every motion. Putting the shotgun in the barrel, hitting the safety. Rifle comes up. Where it fits on my shoulder, where I'm looking, where I'm stopping, all that. Every little bit's going through my head. So when I'm shooting the stage, I'm not thinking what I should be doing, because if you're kind of thinking what you should be doing, you might be going a little too slow.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, from the times that I've shot with you, you're a very calm and even person. Even when there is like adversity on a stage, you don't seem to really show it. I've
I
seen you
don't show
shoot.
it.
So yeah, and let me just give you my perspective, and then we can talk about the rabbits in the cage upstairs. But
Yeah,
um, even when I've seen you shoot in the Three Nation like shoot offs and stuff, seems like you've got it pretty well together, calm, collected. So that's like the perception from the outside. So is that the stuff that's happening in your head, or is it completely different in there?
I try very hard to be calm and collected. It takes
Yeah.
a lot of work. A lot of deep breathing, thinking, trying to focus just on what's happening. The Three Gun Nation Pro Series, when they had cameras everywhere, they had a big drone hovering 3 feet over your head while you're shooting. You got to focus on your sights, focus on the targets, what you're doing. Now, what's going on in my head? Yeah, there's a lot of times, there's a lot of nerves. I'm not a calm person. I'm an anxious person. So it takes a lot to focus and mentally prepare yourself. I hear there's a lot of good books out there. I don't read much though. I want to get some someday and figure out the next level. But yeah, for the most part, for me, it's just focus. I don't try not to think about anything else, just about what I've got to do and try to execute. Tune out everything else and take a few deep breaths when you step up to the line so you can get the jitters out, because you get up there and your hands shaking. Sometimes in the first stage, especially on shoot offs, your hands shaking.
Oh
That's
yeah.
not conductive to accuracy.
Yeah. I experienced this recently at the Colorado Three Gun Championship. We're shooting completely new division. I've been talking trash with Garrison England for like 2 months, and we're on a squad together, and I get up in the starting position, and my hands are shaking, and I can see it like as I'm preloading we have an 8 round tube, so I had to rack one in, load the next round in. And so
Mhm.
as I'm in port arms, I can like see the edge of the shotgun shaking when I'm in the ready position. I was like, this is not
Yeah.
good.
Yep.
So
That does
when
not
when
help you. Mhm.
no, not at all. So when you talk about your mental management and your breathing, like, is this something that you've just come to over the years on your own? Did you have anyone that's helped you in this arena?
I hopefully I'm not thinking bad mouth anybody, but really I haven't had that many mentors. I read on Brian Enos, some things back in the day, but really here, I go practice. It's just me. If I brought some people to the range, but they're mostly newer shooters. I've never really practiced with people at my level or better.
Hmm.
I hope I'm not forgetting anybody. I really don't think I am, because I'm always out there by myself. But yeah, I took a couple classes with Manny Bragg, who's a really good USPSA grandmaster long ago. Uh, he helped a little bit. I mean, he helped some. His classes are great. He helped a little bit on the mental thing. Oh, that actually does remind me of one thing he did at the end of the class. He had man-on-man shoot-offs, and we were both shooting at targets on either side of the berm, so we really were kind of not facing each other. We weren't shooting downrange to start, and I was doing pretty good in the class. And one thing he did to mess with me was he said, "Ready, go," and then he had taken his pistol out of the holster. He had told the other guy to stand by, and he already had his pistol out of the holster when he said go, and he shot. Like his from go to shoot was like a quarter of a second, and I jumped. I was like, "What in the world?" And I panicked, and I started just flinging bullets down there. So that was actually for all the shoot offs to follow. That was actually pretty good practice, because another match. It was a USPSA match. They had a steel shoot off on the end, and BJ Norris, who's a world steel speed shooting champion, was against me.
Yeah.
And the first time we went against him, he shot from retention. He fired the first shot from the hip and probably about half a second, but didn't throw me because Manny had screwed with me a couple of years before.
Nice. Now, is that a tactic that BJ was trying to employ?
I think so. That's an interesting. It was definitely an interesting tactic. I've never seen it in the shoot off any other time. You know, it was it was a sectional USPSA match shoot off there at the end. But yeah, I think he was. You know, I couldn't think of any other reason for him to shoot from retention other than to just throw me.
Interesting.
And he did it again later, and he hit the steal actually. So when he did it against me, he didn't hit the steal on that shot.
Got it. So it was just like a warning shot.
Yeah, just kind of screw with you. But yeah, I actually ended up beating him. I've got that trophy up there somewhere too.
Nice.
So I beat a world speed shoots champion at steel. Of course, he beat me later, a few years later, at the Three Gun Nation shoot off. You know, he shot Three Gun Nation there for a few years.
Yeah, for sure. You know, that's interesting tactic. I would be concerned about someone calling an AD on me, you know, and making me stop.
Well, he was close to both times. Like I said, he was close to the target the first time. The second time, he actually hit the target. But yeah, you know, at that level, you know, you assume they're
yeah, no
they
kidding.
know what they're doing.
Yeah. So recently I shot the Jeff Kirkwell Memorial match. In fact, this is the shirt I'm wearing is from last year, but they have pistol, rifle, and shotgun. You can shoot any order you want, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they had rifle stop plates this year, which is kind of interesting. But I remember on one of my runs, I can't remember who it was against, but I'm shooting pistol, and we're shooting like 4x10 knockovers with the pistol, which are, you know, skinny and tall, and then the shotgun were like 10x10s, right, or 12x12s, whatever they were.
Yeah.
So it obviously took me a lot longer on pistol, but I was hearing over on the other side just like blam, 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 blam. And I'm thinking like, wow, that sounds really fast. I'm totally getting my ass kicked right now.
Yeah.
And when I dumped my pistol or transitioned to shotgun, I realized like, oh, he was shooting shotgun. Whereas, you know, on any normal occasion, you can understand the difference between a 12 gauge shotgun sound and a 9mm pistol sound. But with all that adrenaline jacked up and me trying to focus on what I was doing, I just assumed like I was getting whooped there, and didn't even put two and two together in my head of like, no, he went to shotgun first, you know?
Yep. Yeah. Try not to focus on the other people when you're doing shoot offs for sure. It has never helped me. I mean, I see some people think they're getting behind and they can speed up, but for me, I start trying to speed up past my capabilities. It almost always turns out poorly.
Yeah, for sure.
Then,
I've found that like I just try to shoot as fast as I possibly can within my abilities and not throttle it. Is that kind of the same method that you use?
yeah. The times I get up there and I think I'm going to shoot like I do in practice, when I know in my practice, every now and then practice I hook up and it's just ting, 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 ting. And I stay up there to the line and think I can do that. It doesn't ever go like that. The last Three Gun Nation shoot off I did, they let us do practice runs. I ran it between, I think I had the best practice time of the day, and none of my times were less than 22 seconds out of the 20 times I ran it. And I get up there all confident, I'm going to do it like I did. And by the time I shot it in 18 seconds, I shoot it in 24 point something seconds. Worse than I'd done all day in practice. If I just done nice and calm like I've been doing all my practice runs, I'd had it easily, 21 second time, I'd moved on. Instead, I get eliminated first round.
Oh man, that's a tough one.
Yep.
Well, the shoot off is an interesting format as far as mental game and preparedness for that. When the Three Gun Nation Pro Series was going hot, did you have like a different dry fire practice strategy for that?
All my dry fire targets upstairs right now are from the first year they did that shoot off about 3 or 4 years ago. They did the single elimination shoot offs. They had the stages set. They sent us the diagrams for the stages. I cut out every single target to scale and put it up there, and I ran those stages hundreds of times.
Nice.
Yeah, and so I've got a large array of dry fire targets still from that I mostly use those just because they're all cut out already.
Now, does that help with your with your confidence when you walk onto the stage in real life? I mean, these were in Tulsa, right?
Yeah.
So when you're at Tulsa and you walk onto the grass there, and you're looking around, does it feel like, okay, well, I've seen this in my living room?
Yes, for sure. I was definitely more comfortable. I knew exactly what I was doing. I knew where I was going, how to pick up the gun, exactly how many targets, when to put it down. Every single part of that was planned out. And if I had executed correctly, it had gone well.
Now, how do you replicate that for other major matches, like for stages that we don't know what they're going to look like, or maybe we see the diagrams, but it doesn't show hills and valleys and trees in the way and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's all tricky because you don't, even when you have the diagrams, you don't usually know the distances and all that.
Hmm.
It's better to look, YouTube videos from the year before are very helpful. Certain match directors have certain kind of things that they like to do. You'll start noticing. So, like I said, a lot of guys will have those 25, 30-yard plate racks. So I'll break out my little tiny plate rack dry fire target. And when I go to the range, I'll do that. I'll put my little 6-inch plates at 25 yards. That's what I was doing today. I have these little knockdown auto resetting plates, and I sit there and I shoot them at between 20 to 25 yards. And then offhand rifle. I know some match directors like some offhand rifle, some like reverse kneeling, some like closer, further stuff, and just figure out guess. You have to guess at what's going to be there sometimes, and work on it. And sometimes it helps you, sometimes it doesn't, but at least you're trying.
Yeah. Are you at the point now where you're shooting like the same matches on a yearly basis, so you know what to expect, or do you ever? I mean, the Wyoming Governor's match is a good example of something you haven't shot before.
Yeah, that's one thing. The last few years, I've shot there's been 4 to 6 major matches in Texas every year, so I shoot those, and I go to Rocky Mountain 3-gun, and that's about I try to shoot about one major match a month, and there's about 8 to 10 months of actual matches. So in Fort Benning, I love Fort Benning. So I was shooting every match for several years. So this year I was trying to think, I want to kind of do something a little bit different because, these are great matches, all of them, nothing against them, but, just every now and then, I can only shoot one major match a month. So like this year, I'm not going to go to Rocky Mountain, even though it's a match I love. I'm going to go back to Rock Castle Pro-Am. I haven't been there in 4 years. So I'm going to check that one out again. And the Wyoming Governor's match hadn't been there. So we're going to check that one out. And then next year, I'm going to try to find a couple I haven't shot before I'd really like to. But yeah, you get an idea what the match director likes to do, and I know what I'm practicing whenever it's time to go. I know Rocky Mountain, I need to practice the long range and positional shooting. And,
Yeah, shooting from sticks.
Shooting from sticks, yeah. Yeah, the shooting sticks one year ruined me.
Ladders.
They love their shaky positions for sure.
Yeah, they sure do. Yeah, it's interesting how the match director's signature, ends up coming out in a lot of these matches, and it's also really cool too because then you can kind of cater the type of match you shoot to your strengths. Now,
Yeah.
Is that something that you do? Do you cater to your strengths, or do you just go for variety and then work your training around the match?
What I usually do is what's closest to home.
Yeah, that's an easy one in Texas.
Match. Yeah, well, the problem is, 2 out of 3 Texas matches build themselves as riflemen's matches. And long range rifle, my range I practice at, generally I can only practice 100 yards. If there's nobody there, I can shoot at 200 yards. So I get almost no long range practice. So I get out to these matches. I'm sitting there with my stray lock, hoping it's right. And I'm watching my splash to see if it's hitting where I think it's going to hit and adjusting from there. So yeah, long range has been hurting me for years because that's just more my lack of practice facilities than anything. But yeah, so I still, go shoot all the Texas matches because they're here and I like the people there. I know everybody. And then, Rocky Mountain's nice and cool in August, being up there in the mountains.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I can't shoot any matches in Texas in August.
Yeah, Texas. You can tell by the Facebook forums that Texas isn't shooting right now. Like all the all the interesting topics are starting to come up, and there's a lot of infighting. It's like, oh, this reminds me of the Christmas break.
Yeah. Yeah. I always take a month off at Christmas and usually a month off in July.
Yeah, it's a smart thing to do. It's like stinking hot right now. We had a bunch of Texans come up for the Colorado 3-gun championship just for the reason that you're talking about. Independence Day was the middle of the week. They could take a couple extra days off of work and make it a like a holiday. Go up to the mountains, enjoy the nice weather, shoot, and we're sitting here at like 90-degree weather in Colorado Springs, and I'm like, God dang, it's hot. And all the Texans are like, oh, this is great. They're like drinking coffee and shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking about that Colorado match next year for sure. If I want to keep shooting year round, I'll go up there.
Yeah, it's a fun one, and it's not too much of a. Well, I guess you're in Houston. Yeah, it is. Everywhere's a drive for you. So.
Yep, I'm getting more comfortable with flying the matches now. I went to the Rock Castle 3-gun and the Blue Ridge up there. I've been there up there probably 5 times, and I drove every time. But this year I was like 13-hour drive. Don't really feel like it. We'll just, see where the airports are nearby. I was like, I can fly to Nashville for $250, get a rental car for $15 a day. It doesn't even make economic sense to drive up there.
No, no. Yeah, I did that recently with going to Minnesota for the Jeff Kirkwood Memorial match, and then over to Wisconsin. And I drive a big truck, and then I did the gas bill when I got home. I was like, this didn't really work out so well.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm busy at work right now, and I can't take, an extra 2 to 3 days just travel time getting there and back. So yeah, I think the Wyoming match, I'm flying out Friday at noon and I'm flying back Monday at 5 a.m. So I'm going to miss half a day at work is all.
Oh, that's nice.
Yep. I wish I could. I've never been to Wyoming. I wish I could, hang out some, but like I said, I've got this project going on right now, and I can't be out for that long.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, I'll tell you that the area that you're going to, Cheyenne,
Yeah.
or just outside of Cheyenne, is not the interesting part of Wyoming. Sorry,
Okay.
Wyoming. I know you're really proud of your state, but just once you get farther west from there, and even northwest up into like Yellowstone and stuff. So maybe that's a family vacation or something like that. So to make you feel better, you're not going to miss anything.
All right. Yeah, maybe next year we be able to take a little more time off and take the family up there. Still, they won't have started school yet. So
yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's talk about the family and the work thing as far as balance. So you seem to have a pretty decent comprehension of balance, Jason. We talked about it before this. We've talked about it on the range too. It's like family, it's work, and then shooting is something you squish in between. So, first of all, you seem to have your priorities straight, and then second, how did you come to that conclusion? Was this like a forced thing, or is this just have always been my priorities in life?
Well, when I started, I started younger before I had kids. So really, I could go out shooting every weekend. My wife didn't mind if I spent, most of the day on Saturday going out shoot, because she had all Saturday night and all day Sunday, and every evening we could spend together.
Mm-hmm.
Once we started having kids, you're constantly taking care of kids. Me and my wife didn't have any time together. So me going out and spending an entire Saturday shooting a local match wasn't working. So I, dry fired at night after they went to bed. And when I go practice, I leave 8:30 in the morning and I'm back by 10:30. So I haven't missed much of the day. So yeah, it's just kind of, over time, I went from shooting those every week, shooting a local match, to shooting 2 a month, to shooting 1 a month, to shooting 3 or 4 a year now. And I shoot, try to shoot just one major match a month, during season. So I'm not out of town too much. And, yeah, I mean, it's just where my priorities are. It used to be shooting more, and I progressed pretty good there at the beginning, and I'm still trying to progress, but it's a little harder to eke that extra little bit out whenever you get to the higher levels and you have less time to practice. So, I mean, you just got to figure out what you want to do. You want to make your wife and kids happy and shoot, or you want to shoot and get divorced.
Yeah, no kidding.
Which I know some people that have picked the latter.
Yeah. Well, I hope they're happy.
Yeah.
Well,
some guys.
Yeah.
We won't talk about them.
Well, let's talk about. Okay, so this might be a difficult topic, but I think based on when you told me you graduated, I might be older than you. So, do you feel that as you're nearing 40, you're slowing down a little bit, and like maybe the time to win matches, to excel, is kind of passing you by, or do you think there's still time for you left in the game?
I think there's still time left for me in the game. I got a few more years, but yeah, I don't have, I don't think 10 years from now I'm going to be getting significantly better. I'm thinking if I don't start getting better in the next 4 to 5 years, it's not going to happen. So yeah, I'm definitely starting to feel it. I still think I'm slowing down. My eyes are still sharp. I get a little more aches and pains, but it's not too bad. But yeah, I'm 36 right now, so I still got a few more years, still 40. But no,
Gotcha.
I've still seen plenty of guys, in their 40s and 50s, and even Jerry up there still killing it. I think, you obviously do slow down when you get older, but yeah, I'm feeling the pressure a little bit, but I'm not feeling slower yet.
Right. Good. Well, do you have like a plan to, mitigate the effects of age, or do you see this as like a lifelong hobby?
I do see it as a lifelong hobby. I still want to do it well for as long as I can, but even when I get older and I'm not going to be able to do it at the highest level, I still want to be out there doing it. I've made a few investments this year. I have tried to shoot live fire some more. I know we've talked about I do mostly dry fire with minimal live fire, but I joined a private range over by my office. So with my lunch break, I can go over there and shoot off some. I can only shoot pistols in 22, but I can do some positional rifle work with a 22, and I can do some pistol practice. So got that. Just bought me a new ammo bot and a new 1050, so I can get some more rounds out there and not have to spend all day reloading.
Sweet.
Yeah, you start shooting a lot, you start spending a lot of time reloading. All that thing, I thought I just hit a button and bullets would come out. It's not quite that easy. Whenever you got that thing set to 2,000 rounds a minute, it's more like Lucy in the Chocolate Factory. You're sitting there trying to figure out, you're throwing bullets in the top, throwing brass in, trying to figure out why your bullets are getting smashed. And yeah, loading more primers up. You're just constantly doing something when it's running, and it's yeah, it's not a fully automated operation as I thought it was.
Yeah, that's totally what I thought it was as well. I was talking to a friend of mine that has one, and I was like, so I can just like press the button and like edit a podcast or like read a book or something. He's like, bro, no, you're gonna be running your butt off to feed that machine the whole time.
Yeah, but I can load up, a couple months worth in an afternoon, though. That's a good thing. I can get it done. A day like this where I don't have anything going on, I loaded up 1,000 rounds almost this morning, so I'm good for a little while.
Yeah, that's pretty epic. So how long have you had that ammo bot?
I just got it, like I said, this year I decided it was going to be my year and practice more and all that. So I ordered it at the beginning of the year and I got it like in March, and yeah, and then I had my DQ and a 17% stage on the long range at the Texas 3-gun match, and yeah, I'm not sure exactly what happened to my year here. So
Yeah,
we're getting back in it.
there's
Yeah.
always next year.
Yep. Went to Disney World, took a few weeks off, and now I practiced live fire yesterday. I dry fired last night, even though I live fired yesterday. I live fired this morning, and I'm gonna dry fire every night between now and Wyoming, and we're gonna hope for the best.
I like it. I like it. Well, Jason, let's talk about goals that you have. You were talking about this, this is going to be your year. Do you have any, specific goals in 3-gun that you can tell us about?
Really, I don't have, like, when I go to matches, it all depends on who shows up to the match. If I'm hoping to finish top 3 or top 5 or top 10, if a match where there's just a couple good shooters, I really want to finish top 5 or top 3 even. But if it's a major match where there's a lot of good shooters, I'm hoping for top 10. It really just all depends as far as goals. I mean, when I shoot a stage, when I come off the stage, I know if I'm happy or not.
Right.
Really, it's more about that feeling. If I shoot the way I know I should be shooting, like I said, when I did that 17% stage at Vortex, I could have killed every other stage and finished in the top 5 and not been happy because that one 17% stage. I've not shot a stage that low in I don't know how many years. I still know what the percentage was on that. This is months later. Years later, you can ask me, and I'll tell you that was a 17% stage. It was awful, beyond awful.
Got it.
Yeah.
So do you find that like stewing on something like that helps motivate you to perform better in the future?
As long as I don't give up. Yeah, that was so bad I gave up for a while. But yeah, usually, having a bad performance does motivate me. It'll motivate me for weeks or months until I have a couple good matches. It'll keep motivating me. But yeah, it definitely doesn't make me happy in life, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Jason, if you had to give a talk on like 3-gun or practical shooting in general, what would be like the key points or core principles of your talk?
Core principles, figuring out what you want out of it. Whatever you want, you need to have fun. Because I mean, if you're doing this and not having fun, I mean, if you're doing this to get sponsored and get rich, it's not going to happen. If you're doing this, because you like shooting, great. And if you get sponsored and all that on the way, that's great too. So have fun. If you want to be good, practice. Don't. And if you practice, try to analyze what you need to do. Don't go to the range and fire a few thousand rounds and thinking you're getting better. Figure out what you're not good at. Make some drills for it. Dry fire, live fire. Get better.
What's bad advice in the sport that you hear repeated often?
Oh, bad advice, man. have to give me a minute to think on this one. I had some for you.
Sure, we got time.
Yeah, I had some for you got here, but man, let me think about that one. Come back to that one there.
Okay. Where do you see the sport of three gun headed?
That's interesting, because the whole world changed when Three Gun Nation came out, but now, Three Gun Nation's kind of, they've Pro Series is gone, their TV shows gone. They're still running matches, but I mean, that was a huge shift going from 6 to 8 major outlaw matches a year to now we have, like I said, 4 to 6 majors just in Texas. I've got to pick which matches to go to. It used to be I went to I'd go to every match around the country. It'd be the same people there. Now I don't see people. I haven't seen some guys for years, and I know they still shoot out on the West Coast or the East Coast. They just don't come to my area and I go to their area.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're going back. Hopefully we don't lose too many matches. I noticed that we got a lot more newer shooters after Three Gun Nation. We got a lot more matches, and some of the matches aren't filling up anymore like they used to. So I don't think we're going to lose too many, hopefully. But the UML League looks to be pretty promising. I'm looking forward to that. Honestly, some other things that have changed. I've noticed we have a lot more women shooters now than when I started. When I started, if there was a woman at a match, she was there with her dad or her husband. She wasn't there on her own.
Right.
I go to our local match here. We have quite a few lady shooters that come out and shoot and enjoy it, just on their own. They aren't being drug out there, which is definitely an interesting dynamic and welcomed. So in the future, I said, we're getting more diverse shooters. It's not, we're getting younger shooters as well. Whenever I started shooting, there weren't that many young guys. I was, at least in the Houston area, I was the only one in my age group that shot, and I was the only one traveling to matches. We have some guys that would come out for a few months or maybe even a year, but then I would never see them again. I made lots of friends and they just disappeared.
Yeah.
We get a lot more younger shooters in here. A lot of guys in their teens and 20s and 30s. Used to be was an older guy. At least from my geographical area, it was a lot of older fellows. People that had the time and the money.
Mm-hmm.
But once the Three Gun Nation TV show, I think really shifted all that. So hopefully we'll continue going in that direction, even as they now that there's no more show.
Yeah.
Getting people interested. But we got guys like you doing the podcast, getting some new interest and more YouTube and
yeah, buddy.
The Instagram. Lots of people on the gram.
A lot of people on the gram. That's how we're going to get them, I think.
Yeah.
Well, do you think big picture wise, like we as just say practical shooting in general, three gun, PRS, NRL, IDPA, etc. Do you think we need like television to shine a light on what we're doing for this to grow and be popular? Or do you think that we can do it without it?
Even before Three Gun Nation, the sport was growing pretty well. It just, we had a massive jump at that point, which I think was a little bit, a little too much of growth at once. So I think the sports will still continue to grow. It's interesting sport. You can see the PRS thing has exploded over the last couple of years. I shot years and years ago. I guess it was the beginning of it was a team sniper match where one guy had a bolt gun and I had a gas carbine, and we shot as a team, which I guess was kind of the beginnings of PRS. I don't really know all the history, but it was kind of PRS before I knew it existed.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's definitely gaining in popularity, and I don't think we need social media now. It gets the word out just fine. When I started, 2006 shootings, Facebook was still kind of new. I think it was still 2005. I think it was still limited to just colleges. People, not everybody's parents were on it then.
Yeah, I think 2008 is when I joined, and that was when, because I was out of college by that time, so I think that was when they opened it up to everyone.
Yeah, 05, I definitely joined with my college address. So, yeah. In 06,
you're like Facebook OG.
Well, the thing was, I was a senior, so it was actually my little brother's friends who were freshmen that got me into the Facebook. Most of my friends didn't get in Facebook for a couple more years. We were all 22-year-olds at the time. We weren't the 18-year-olds. They're all hip.
Yeah, you were old and washed up by that time.
Yep. Fifth year senior, but I got my engineering degree, even though it was 5 years. Nice.
I went 4.5 on accident. I'll tell you about it sometime.
Yeah, I would have stayed a little longer if I could have. It was fun.
I know. It's it's kind of funny. I heard it said recently, like we spent spend the rest of our lives trying to find the joy that we had in college when we were like the poorest and we had like the
Yeah.
least possessions and the least responsibilities. It's kind of funny.
Uh-huh.
Kind of sad way to end the show too.
Yeah.
All right, Jason, do you have any bad advice that you hear repeated?
Okay, bad advice. Man, I mean, most of it's pretty good on your show. I'm trying to remember. There are,
Yeah, maybe something you hear in the dirt or something like that, where you know it's like one of those axioms maybe that we always hear, but maybe there's a little bit more truth to it than first meets the eye.
well, some people argue about the slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Yeah,
I think
let's talk
that's
about
only
that.
that's partially true. You want to be smooth, and you can still go fast and be smooth, but you got to go a little slower than you think you need to. But I don't have a problem with that one as a whole. Definitely don't shoot faster than you can. Don't try to go faster. If anybody tells you go fast, don't.
Yeah.
That never turns out well. Go beyond your abilities.
No, and I found that it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna shoot this like hero style
Oh
when
yeah.
I don't have the hero style in me
Well,
when it comes time.
I think that's one of my bigger fallings this year. Is I thought I was going to do awesome and tried really hard and failed. All my best matches, I've gone there. I've tried to just execute it whatever 90 to 95% of speed, and just had a real consistent match. Only had two so-so stages, and all the rest of them okay stages. No like stage wins, no great stages, and I still managed to finish pretty good. That year, I finished eighth in the year at the Three Gun Nation Pro Series. I finished every match. I finished between 10th to 12th place. I never finished higher than 10th, but at the end of the year, I finished eighth overall because of
Interesting.
points. Yeah, because other people, they do great one match and then they do terrible the other. They wouldn't get any points at it. So you
Yeah.
can drag that out into a match, stages. Even if you do great on a couple stages, if you blow a couple stages, you're going to drag down your average. And almost always, my best match finishes have been whenever I did pretty good on most stages. Not that wow, I killed that one stage, but I blew that other stage because
Yeah,
most of
I've noticed that as well, and especially shooting. So I've shot a ton of club matches this year, probably more than I have since I started the three gun show.
mm,
No, not probably, definitely more than I have since I started the three gun show. So it's kind of nice to be like in one place and get to shoot a lot of club matches. But I've noticed the same thing. Like I never do any better than like fifth or sixth on a stage, but then I'll end up much higher and a couple times actually winning division in a match.
yeah,
And so it's that consistent performance. A lot of people have talked about it on the podcast before, but when you go out there and you try for swinging for the fences every single time, sometimes you're gonna strike
oh
out.
yeah, yeah. There's no way if you swing for the fence every time, you're definitely going to strike out sometimes. And that, getting an 80, 85, 90% finish on every stage and a couple of hundreds is a lot better than a couple of hundreds and a couple of 40s.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that's what I'm trying. I like to have top 10 finishes on every stage. Be up there, not screw anything up majorly. Is what I go for.
Yeah. All
It's
right.
not flashy, but it works.
That's true. And the end result is what we're after, right?
Yep.
All right. Well, Jason, this has been a ton of fun, man. I really appreciate you sharing your story with the audience and you're giving us a peek into your training. If you can leave the audience with one thought or one piece of advice, what would it be?
I'll just go out and have fun. This is all about fun, man. If you're not having fun, there's no reason to be doing it.
So true. So true, Jason. Well, Jason, thanks again for being a part of the show, man. I do appreciate your time and sharing the deep dart secrets of the dry fire dojo that you have
Yeah.
in your house.
Yeah, I
So
think I got one picture on my Instagram of it if you want to see it.
yeah, I saw it. I was like, oh, that looks awesome. Looks like fun. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'll include a link to that in the show notes for everyone listening. And Jason, thanks again, man.
All right. Thank you for having me, Dave.